Okay, we're doing a snowman today. Can you hear me? I don't have to wear a mask. Is it too far away? Okay. We're gonna do a snowman. There's two examples in the back. One's kind of decorated. One is without the top, and the top can be removed. I have brought a couple others that are roughed out form in case this doesn't work. So what I'm going to do here is I've got this chucked up. One of the things, this happens to be a piece of ash that was cut down July 27th in, what's your neighborhood of town called? No, more definitive, sir. Where you live. Yeah, that little area, enclave. Bluff Meadows was the where these ash trees resided. They got the bug in it. So I use a faceplate on the trees. I use this is a limb. Good way to use limbs as opposed to having to go buy good lumber. I've also used some silver maple that I had from my yard. It got trimmed down, and of course that's dry. This is going to be a little bit green. And one of my co-woodworkers suggested trying the green and see what kind of effect we got. So I have that. If this doesn't turn out, we will chuck up some silver maple. Now I do have a faceplate on this. I also use Nova's ring that will go on a 50 millimeter chuck. Any of you used them before? You haven't used them before? I like it because you can move it around, but you have to have, sides got to be pretty close to being parallel. So either a big chainsaw or somebody that's cutting that's aware of making the item parallel so it's easier to chuck up. This thing isn't parallel. Of course, you're not going to get where you want on the down the axis. So if you'd like to discuss that later on at the end, we can. Nova offers this now in a 5-hold ring. They're about $40. Really? Okay. Online somewhere? Wow. Okay. So we're going to rough the log out. What we're not going to do is I'm going to save the base. So the base is about 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches. We're going to leave that rough, but I'm going to rough out the rest of the log to get to that snowman type finish. I have the lathe set it on the low setting between, I don't know, 50 to 1200. And I have sharpened up some tools. Hopefully this will go good. Here we go. So I'm trying to get it round, assess where the log is, how it's going to come out, whether I'm going to have a spot that will leave the bark in, because you can get an effect with the inclusions with the bark on and work it into your design. You'll see it back in the back, Snowman, that some of the bark is around the bottom of the first snowball, and it adds a nice effect. Where we got 3 inches. We're going to come up here about 3 inches on this one, roughly there. Put the party tool on it. So I'm coming up 3 inches. On something about 19 inches. The first snowball's about 4. The second one's about 3 1/4. The third one's about 275. I might have to go down to 2 on this to make this fit. Now, one of my colleagues uses the percentage system, not including the hat. The first snowball's 45. The second one is 35. And yes, Linda, there'll be a test at the end of the day. The third one is 20, approximately. If you're going to go to a 3 foot long or 4 foot long snowman, you're going to have to adjust those percentages. Won't work. You'll have to stretch it out. So I'm going to put a parting line for the base so I can start my bottom one. Rob, you okay on cameras? You think you got everything where you want it? Okay. Now you notice my tool rest is getting a little bit too far away, so we're going to move it in a little bit. I think we still have a little off center area. Do I have any what? Snowman. Let's see. No, but I do have a problem keeping them round. And you either get an egg or you get flat sides coming in. And maybe that's it. But next time I do one, I'll keep that in mind. It melted on me. I couldn't control it. Ash. Yep. And I brought some silver maple if this doesn't work out. That I've got one roughed out and it's got an error on it, and I'll show it to you. Some things you guys have to work. Okay, so we've kind of got it rounded up a little bit. It's got one spot in it. We can take down a little bit more. All right, so the first one we're going to come in. You see the parting line. I'm going to leave the base here, and what I'll come back in and come in with a bowl gouge and take a little bit off that to show kind of a falling off effect. And hey, do you have that stuff to keep this thing from melting?
I don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
But if it's special snow, it'll come back next year.
All right. So work on, once you get this rounded out, you have to work on, at least the way I've learned, you have to work on the bottom snowball first. Otherwise these will get out of shape and then harder to make adjustments. So I'm at 4 inches on this first one. I'm going to come in and park this, so I know I'm working on this one. Let's see how much space we got. That's a lot of. That's all right. That's a. So I'm constantly looking at the how deep we're going to make this, and it's kind of eyeball depends. Depends on what the diameter is. So I'm going to take start working each end of the snowball down. Start with open flute, and I come in, close it in as I'm coming in. You need to move some of the material from the base out. You don't want to go to the center too much. You want to work the edge. So work this the right edge of my right edge of the top snowball number one. I don't have balance as well. I'd like to go a little deeper on this. Enough there. I'm trying to round the ball in, and I have some flat spots here on that. So I'm trying to round the ball up to get more of a rolled up snowball look. All right, so now I'm going to go work on the second ball. I told you I'm using 3 1/4 today off this. So I'll go dead center 3 1/4 up, and then we'll put a parting line in. Got to remember, as you roll each ball up, the kids make them smaller, get to the top. you can cut down, but you can't expand. All right. So this ball's got to be a smaller diameter than this one. So then I need to come back in here with the roughing gouge, and I'll just take the diameter now. All right, so I might have overdone a little bit, but I did take the diameter down. I don't know if you can see it from here. This is at least half inch on each side down a little bit. So then we'll shape the second ball. And I use a bowl gouge to remove both the material. Either with a pull cut or a push cut. And I can see that this one is not really deep enough, so I'll come back in with the parting tool, take that in a little deeper. Now you have to be careful you don't run your gouge into the next piece. It's not a problem until you run into the hat. Then I'll come back in with a little small spindle gouge to kind of clean up. I'm trying to get crisp lines between the balls stacked up. And then reshape if you need to. Okay. So I shortened that up. Let's see what we took it down to. I took it down 3 inches. That was 4. This is about 3 1/4. The next one is 270, 275. Now the hardest one is between the third ball and the hat, because as an example, I got the hat's a little bit high. We'll get the reverberation. Sorry. And this still can be saved. I'll part it off. Remove some of the inner hat, dropping in. That's what the last one is. But you really have to pay attention to where the third snowball is and the hat. Anyway, I'll put this down here. Take it. You can. A bowler, a cowboy hat. I just like the top hat, and that one's not done. I will tell you that you need, when you get there and get in trouble on that, make sure you put a recess in so you can grab the thing after you part it. You want to keep the axis. And I have to have that. And that hat's probably too big, you know. Yeah, it's not finished, right? But then on the other hand, Jeff, it's a snowman. It isn't a fine pen. You're welcome. Yes, sir. Well,
So you got to make that top hat in proportion to your top
ball. That's all I'm saying is that
Yeah.
when your hat fits on, it's got to go over your head, perspective wise.
So this hat's too tall, but you can still save it. Like I said, if you go look at that back one back there, I had the same problem. It was out too long. The ball's too big. I didn't consider where it is because you really have to pay attention. The top black hat will come off. It's got a shaft in the middle. And so when you get there, you'll just have to rechuck it, take some of the hat out so it fits on the head. And you can take some of the head down too. Work okay, Rich? The carvers picked up on that because I didn't pick up. I looked at this thing, okay, what's the big deal? One of my buddies said, the hat's way sticking up on his head. Okay, so I'm going to work on this top ball and the hat. And on this one, I'm going to try to integrate the hat so that it's right above where the your eyebrows would be. Let's see if we've got this right. So I've got 3 1/4. I might even go down to 2 1/2. One thing on the hat, if you make the ball too small, you can inch out this way. If you make it too big, you can't come back in and get wood. So I'm going to start this one at 2, see what it looks like, and then go work the hat from there. Questions? Back row, am I losing you? Are you asleep back there? All right, just checking. Just checking. About 2 inches, I'm going to come in and start that. And you want to undercut the hat a little bit underneath the brow. I didn't do a good job there, but I think we can still save it. All right, so then the third snowball's got to be smaller than the second. Agreed? All right, so we're going to have to take some mass off back here. So I've got the third snowball smaller, not as much as I'd like, but it is smaller. But I don't think the hat's going to look on it. I don't think the hat's going to look that good on it, but we'll work the snowball right now. See what we got. Yeah. This cut here, this can go deeper. The lower ball can go deeper. The top one can't go as deep because the hat's sticking. The ball's coming in. It's not as deep as the neck. You make sense? Okay. Everybody shaking their heads? All right. I got that a little bit too deep, probably. So this is probably a touch too deep up by the top of the snowball in the hat. The neck is not. All right, so we'll just see what we can do here. There goes my instructions. More fast. No. All right, tool rest safety. I'm out wide. I'm not back in here, so I need to move it so I keep the tool rest close and not overextended. We take the bowl gouge and take a couple corners off. But you have to be careful, which I just did. You're going from an open, you're trying to go to close, you're trying to cut and not hit the hat. Not what I did. So I'm trying to take the corners down to get them to look more like snowballs. And not happy with where the hat is, but it's a snowman. All right, so I've got three of the balls done. They're flat here in this spot, but not finished. Let's go work the hat. Now, I like top hats. A couple of my turning buddies, bowler hats, tilted hats. Find a hat that you like. If you're doing a lot of them, you may think about mixing them up. I always wondered where the kids found a top hat that, what, $200-300 for one of these things? Just happened to walk in the house, put it on the snowman. I don't know who's running the bills of that place. All right. So I'm going to rough out the top hat. Jeff, yeah, I'll take a look to see how it fits with the rim of course, has to be the longest. That's what you have to consider when you're tearing it up. Where am I going to put the rim? I don't want to take, that's going to be the widest dimension. I can work the rest of it, take mass off, but I have to be paying attention. And maybe the rim's got some of this rough material on, but it should be wider than the rest of the hat. 5/16. Oh, yeah, 1/4 inch, at least 5/16. Start right here. See what we come up with. For So Jeff, I'm putting a little bit of a curve in it. I kind of like it. I don't really know that it's got that much of a curve in it. Some of the hats have got a bead around it, or a got that bit deep. We got that a bit deep. That's all right. We'll adjust. Opportunity to I think it's a bit wide, so I think with the rim down. And we got a little bit of a tear out here on the rim. You clean it up. And I think the hat's too long. Anybody in the back row, what do you think? Too long? Too long? Too tall? Probably should come maybe something like this. Probably a little bit better. Let me see if I can clean up this hat brim a bit. Oh, what's my tools here? All right. Still. So I think it's needs to be parted right about here. So we'll put it. So we cleaned up the rim pretty good. It's got a little bit of defect in it. And it looks to me like the hat is, where's Charlie? It's a little bit too high. I can tell right off the bat. It should be probably right about here. So we can do one of two things. Right now, we'll clean this up a little bit. Come and clean it up. Where is? And I will try to round over some of these snowballs. So I'm working without taking the center down. I'm working that edge. It's a little more shallow. Top one's not too bad. Hey, anybody got that 60 grit sandpaper? Anybody get any of that? I'm gonna you put some of that to use right here. So I'm trying to take the corners off the snowballs. It's kind of practicing making big beads.
You know, most snowmen are very spiritual, perfect spirits.
Yeah. I've got some ridges here, so I'm just trying to lightly clean them up, get more of a sphere shape. Now down here, probably gonna have to go in a little deeper. Not running off the tool rest. I see a high spot there.
Camera.
That's all right. You know what I was looking for? The light.
I'll work on that next.
No, don't. I mean, you know, I'm trying to go, oh yeah, looking for that, grab that light. Okay, on the base, I'm gonna try to clean this. I've got I've got a dig actually in it. All right. I think probably a poor cutting material, poor way of cutting technique. So we'll try to. Spindle to take a little bit of that out. All right. So probably just save this one. I would probably have to part this, maybe do it when I get home. Part this here, drill down the shaft of this one. To do that though, I'm gonna have to put a tenet so I can still grab this guy because it won't be won't be on the axis. You try to do it after the fact. Anybody want to know why you don't want to go try to put this on after the fact? Back row, nobody? We try to put up, you've got, going down through, you've got down the axis right through here where it's grabbing with the face plate and where it's grabbing with the live center. Doing it again or after the fact, you're probably not going to be aligned. So I need about 2-inch, 1.125 for Nova, depending on your chuck. Requires a little taper. Double check that. Yeah, it's a little bit over. That's all right. It'll work. Any questions so far? We're doing on time. Where do we go to?
Number 3.
Yeah, but how far do we go?
You got time.
All right, here we go. So brought a drill chuck. It had 7/8 in it. Did mine to 1 inch, but I didn't want to change this out because it's only got one screw holding it in, and I knew it was working, so I left it alone. I'll open up the hole with a carver, with a scraper. So we're gonna take this in, and we're gonna open up this. Probably go in 2 inches. Be sure to use slow speed. Remove the waste often. Did I mess up where we're at on the camera?
No, I can't see that.
Okay. All right, so I'm in 2 inches. I'm gonna open this hole up to 1 inch. Whoa. All right. A little bit high on the end. Remember to keep this up a little bit. Back end of it up. Feel for the back where you hit the bottom. Let's see if we can. All right, a little sloppy. That's all right. Let me get that. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get this guy off. We don't have a wrench here, do we?
No, but it's a good thing this is on recorded video.
Yeah.
So while Tom's wrestling for that, I'll Turner's tip maybe. If you get in a situation like this, I have an oil filter wrench with the plastic rubber thing on it. Gives you a good moment on them to pop them loose.
Thanks, man. Rubber gloves, is that what you said? All right. Okay, if I've done this right, this should fit with inside the Nova. Okay. Do something. That's what I didn't do. I should have done that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take away some material on the hat so the head fits up here a little bit better. So it's off just a little bit. Look at that. It's off just a little bit. Is that? Better. I'm going to clean the bottom of the base of the hat off up inside so we've got room for the head to go. Yeah, it's even gotten worse. Look at that. Walk over there. About 3 inches. That top's about 3 inches. We're going to take that in, get a little deeper. Take some of that off. So you'll have to check your diameter. You don't take too much. All right. Yeah, it's still sticking out, so I know what to do. We're going to take a little bit more there, fit in, then we're going to have to take some off this top here. We're drilling the hot top. Again, watch your speed. Remove waste. Also remember, this is green wood. So clog the build. It will clog the bit up a little bit more. There's sapwood in it. right. Okay. I think we work with that up here. We'll be right there. So we're taking the hole out here to 1 inch. Some would say, why didn't you put the 1 inch Forstner bit in there? We'll extend it out there. So I'm drilling, a little too low there. Had the tool too low, wasn't cutting correctly. Set the tool. I think it's just a bit, yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, it's a bit loose. Yeah. All right, so this needs to be a little touched up for that, but what I want to work on is the body, head of the body, the body head to get the hat to fit. So I'll rechuck up the body. And see what this looks like. Now, if you're not comfortable with this and you're spinning out pretty good, you're hanging out, you might get a catch. Where the heck is it? Well, I'm gonna brought it. Put the tailstock in, okay? A little support there. So we'll try to go in and clean this hat up a little bit. That's a snowball. See if we get what we're looking at. Well, it's sitting down a little bit lower. We can take that snowball down a little bit. I think we'll do that. Take down a little bit lower to get it down. Got a catch. Again, a reminder, I've turned this on low speed for this lathe. Because of the mass of material. I don't have the rod. I'm a little happier with this. It's just down a little bit better. Probably still do some more work, take the inside of this out, and make it go a little bit deeper. Questions? I defer to our leader then.